and welcome to Blaine's Escape Corner. I am here, but my voice is trying not to be. I ran late because I decided I needed some hot sake tonight because my either allergies or I am getting a cold, but my throat is trying to kill me. So I'll be imbibing of warm beverage to soothe my soul. Oh, it's so hot. Shikimori went nuts this week. That it did. That it did. And by that, you mean minimal complaints with this week's episode. Oh, my friend. We have not spoken yet. Late, and you like Shikimori. Late, and Shikimori is jealous of my relationship with Izumi. Oh. Late and Shikimori's GBF. Yes, that is me. That is who I am. We'll get through this together, though. We will find a path to glory by the end of this night. I promise you. I promise you we will do that. So normally I'd crack open the sake, get it in the cup. It's already in the cup today. So we can skip that part. So even though I am late, we aren't driven too far behind. But kampai to one and all. Whatever your beverage of choice, appropriately aged and designed, should be. Let me pull up my anime list. Holy crap, the race this weekend. Everybody was all excited that Mercedes is gonna do it. They're gonna have a comeback. They're looking great out there this time. And then they did the same thing they've done every weekend. It was like, all right, cool, whatever. Haha, hilarious. However, I have to say, I love the fact that they had to wear stupid football helmets on the podium. F1 randomly does this where like they have to wear like a cowboy hat or something. It's just funny. But I love that they're like, we're in Miami, home of the Miami Dolphins, so they're gonna wear football helmets. Just look at this crap real quick. Don't even have his chin strap. Like, why do they even put a chin strap on it? Like, come on, it's so stupid. But I secretly love it at the same time that I think it's awful and hilarious. But good week. Congratulations, Max. Ferrari getting the 2-3, staying up on top in the Constructors' Championship. Very exciting and ready for this season to continue. I hate that we've got like 2 weeks between every race, but that's just how it goes. What we don't have 2 weeks between is Love After World Domination. And when I finally catch up to an episode, and it is a banger of an episode, holy crap. Decimi coming in with help and advice for her friend, getting to see her interactions with the Beast Princess as well as the Steel Princess, and then just how adorable it was having the bear carrying the Steel Princess. That was so fantastic, so good. Also, already we're seeing what could have been a like lady in waiting character who's like, well, once that relationship is over, I'm swooping in. But she's like a caring little sister who's running block for him. Like, Pink Ranger has definitely stepped up the game as far as being in this relationship. Pink Lemonade is a bro, straight up, coming in to eat the snacks, making sure people don't interrupt. Just fantastic. I love it. And you get that idea that her part in this relationship is much more just she wants to see them happy because she respects both of them so much. And that's great. I'm glad that they went with that route instead of going with like a jealous third intruder. It's a much more fun route for her to go, and we can all get behind that. Being a bro, being there for your friends who are in a relationship, it's a great feeling. Steel Princess's whole arc, it was good, but it was also kind of silly. Like when they've got her like sunk in the pool, it's like, how did you get there in the first place? Because wouldn't she have just sunk the second she stepped out there? Although I gotta say, the immediate thought for me when they're out there, and it's like, oh, well, they're doing like balance exercise. I was like, oh, we're getting Kaijo! And it was about to become the single greatest anime of all times, but we did not. We did not. You know nothing about soda gelato, but I think he'd be a bro like Pink Lemonade. I think really all of them would probably be a bro except Yellow Ranger, because I think Yellow Ranger would get that real big sis energy of like, stay away from my little bro, you're the enemy, you're the baddie. And that she's gonna be the one that steps up into that like full on, no, this is wrong, we need to protect you from it role, and probably Green follows along, because Green's thing is that he's like the Green Ranger from the original Power Rangers. He's got the samurai thing going on, so he's very solo and all that. Blue Soda, yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure how he goes, but, just the couple lines that I have heard from him, he does seem a bit more of a laissez-faire, like, okay, whatever, as long as she's not hurting us, then it's okay. But then again, we get into the question of, why is Desumi in Gecko? What, like, did she just get found in Gecko? Did she need part-time work and signed up for Gecko? How and where did we get such a protective and caring person into what is supposed to be the big bad guys group? It's a question that haunts me nightly every time I think about this show, which is nightly, by the way, because that's how great this show is. I think about Birdie Wing and I think about Love After World Domination every night as I go to sleep, in hopes that I could be the best golf gambler in the world, or a Power Ranger, because in 30 years of life, there has been one global truth for me, and that's that I want to be a Power Ranger. I think it would be great. At least Fudo, Fudo's got me up in the weights. I've put a few more plates on the bar, waiting for the results, but he's inspiring me to be like, you know what? I'm sick of these stupid anime high schoolers that are more jacked than I am. I'm going to at least put some definition on. So good on you, Fudo, for inspiring at least one other human to increase their health. Oh, man. Listen to that voice. We're about to go into Space Cowboy range. Holy crap. I might have to turn up the gain, actually. If I can't get this puppy to 0. Okay, there we go. Oh my goodness. Let me know if I start blowing out randomly. My microphone, chat, my microphone. Not what you're thinking. Big disappointment this weekend. In the heart of Kunoichi Tsubaki. Considering it starts out with the men are bad and the girls in the ninja village are good, and then we get this backstory about how they made it all up so that they can keep ninjas being ninjas. I'm sad to see it go back into the girls just doing ninja practice episode. Like, I get that, like, when you write a story, you want to have you want to have ebbs and flows. You want there to be some sort of rising action to small climaxes as you make your way across this. It's almost like a reverse roller coaster. Like with a roller coaster, your biggest peak is the first thing you hit, right? in a show, you want it to be a big peak right away, but then you want the big peak to be like your climax, right? But you will still have rising and falling as you go through a good series. So if this is just one of those fallings where it's like, let's just talk about being boring ninja girls again, and argue about stuff as ninja girls and just show ninja girl life, it's like we've been seeing ninja girl life. And I get it. Like, there's a zodiac symbol for each of the groups, and each of the group zodiac symbol has something to do with like how their group works or functions. Okay, we got that after dog and monkey. Like, we didn't need to keep like we're gonna go into every single animal on this list in order to figure that out. I want to get to this story. I want to see Tsubaki interact with dudes. I want to see them actually have a meeting. I want to see them interact. I want to see where that goes. We got to answer this question. Is she actually feeling something for men, or is she feeling something for the idea of men? Like, it's an interesting question to sort of go with. And having this episode just feels like a stall tactic. Like, well, we'll get to that next time. But for right now, we have to introduce the rest of the characters. And then we'll be ready to do the doodly doodly bop bop boo. Oh, boy. Not fantastic for episode 5 on Heart of Kunoichi Tsubaki. If it continues this path and we never get back to like... what are the men doing? Why are men so evil? Why do we need to have bad men? Then I'm gonna say dropo on this 1-0. We can cross that path later. Whew. Couple of cuckoos. I still think it's cuckoos. Main boy Umino, Nagi, feeling like me. Feeling like I feel right now. It's the answer for the last 2 episodes, if not the last 5 minutes. This show, okay, so we've got them in the same house, and now we're having them interact, and now we're having troubles befall so that they have to interact, even though they're like, you have nothing to do with me. But they're stupid, awkward high schoolers who don't know how to communicate with someone without it becoming a relationship. It's good to see him studying somebody, we're building that relationship there. The idea that he can cook, of course he can cook. His parents run a diner, so I'm glad we're bringing that in. Hiro getting fleshed out definitely was great. That was fantastic to see that her issue isn't that someone else be smarter than her necessarily, but just that she has to be number one. That's her thing. And if this was just the Nagi and Hiro show, I think they would be the number 2 couple of the season because of that. They're both working hard to make themselves better at the same time that one of them is pursuing the other, and then we can see if the romantic feelings grow from there. If the romantic feelings grow, then we've got best couple. If they don't, then we have just sort of a weird one-way relationship that's going on. But given the fact that it's the cover is a dude and 3 girls, we can assume that connections will be made to each of them. But we'll see. They could still play out Hiro as a interloper, like that third party that keeps getting involved because she's got to be better than him in all facets. We kind of opened up to that, so her needing to be better than him starts inserting herself into their relationship events as they occur, and that could get us to a point where suddenly she's seen as a threat by oh my gosh, I can't believe I forgot her name. Oh, Erica. Man, my head is congested. That Erica sees her as a threat just because she keeps coming in and keeps competing, and she can see that Nagi wants him. but that she herself never develops like specific feelings, that everything she does comes from that competitive realm. And then I hope too that Sachi continues in that like wanting to get to know her sister, but also being very protective of her brother, and we don't step into the love games there. I think that would be a it's weird to say, that would be an interesting and unique way to handle this type of who's the girl gonna be relationship with anime. The fact that having the little sister just be supportive and also like kind of protective of her older bro is the weird and unique thing is a little telling for how much of a degenerate we are. But at least we've got hope that the story can be something more. We've got hope that the story can be a little different. I like where it's going. I like the my wife, the first thing she says, she's like, well, they don't have any clothes. And I was like, well, they're gonna have clothes like given to them. First thing you see in the scene as it pans across is like shirts and pants that are like wrapped up waiting for them. And I was like, yeah, I'm glad they're including this stuff and not just assuming it. It adds a little bit to the show overall, but still quite liking it. Don't know why it's delayed. Why are we on episode 3 of Kaku's but 5 everywhere else? I actually haven't looked into anything about the production of this show, but that still is interesting to me. Maybe I'll look into that and we can talk about that later this week as information becomes available. Holy crap. Spy Cross Family was so good this week. Holy crap. I like that we kind of work through the main continuity problem right off the bat. I like that we just kind of get that out of the way. Now we don't have to worry about it. And I think that giving Lloyd the opportunity, the backing, the skill, everything to sort of give Anya this experience of being the princess was so great. I mean, obviously it's great for her because that's what she wanted. She was like, hey, I did this thing, praise me. I know you're a spy, so I know you've got something that can help me get to experience you saving me as a spy. But I think he just set the bar for best anime dad there is. Calling in every agent in the area in order to set up this castle and then kicking all of their asses so that he can be the hero to save Anya. It was just fantastic. I loved Yor on the floor drinking all the wine, getting hammered, and then also just using that as, seeing her protection. We got a hint of that in the beginning with her having that fantasy of, well, if she just needs to get in when someone else gets out, I'll get somebody out, but then having to wipe that because she does have a code of ethics, but she still cares so much for Anya that she wants to make that happen. And then when she's drunk, seeing her turn into that demon that is, gonna basically kill Lloyd if it hadn't been for her heel breaking. That was fantastic. That was great. I also like that, and this is a really subtle thing, and I don't know that everybody would pick up on something like this, but the fact that Yor flips over and starts kicking and punching and beating the crap out of Lloyd, and Lloyd doesn't get knocked over, he doesn't get wiped out, like he gets the cut and his arms are getting bruised up because he's blocking, but the fact that he can block her and still be there because he's like a jacked super spy agent who's like, yeah, I'm the guy. And it's like, yeah, that just happens. Someone hitting you with like a roundhouse or like with a kick can be devastating if they're hitting you with like a real whack from a heel, or a bone is really impacting on bone. It can really be devastating. But just a straight soccer kick from the front, getting wiped, if you actually block that, if you stop that, there's not a ton of mass in somebody's shins, even less so for somebody who's going to be as athletic as Yor is. And so him being able to take those kicks and just kind of be blocking them was a way more interesting and realistic fight, I feel. And I was waiting for her to come down with some kind of hit that really knocks him down, because that's a very classic thing to do, is to take someone who's nowhere near your weight class and they had the technique that just knocked them over, which can happen, but it doesn't happen super often. And we had already seen Lloyd get out of double arm bars from his fellow spies. So the fact that he was able to take blows and actually put up a defense, I really appreciated, just from a fighting standpoint, made it a lot more interesting. And then to have, just a mishap end that, so that he didn't have to, or she didn't do anything dangerous and he didn't have to do anything to her, was really good. I really liked the way that they handled their fight. And that's probably a scene that I'll actually look up, see if I can find the manga pages from it. Maybe I can grab it just from the library or something if it's not already online. But that was really well done. That was fantastic. Peak dad episode. Like, everybody should be talking about how they either wish their dad did this for them, or they wish that they were a dad who got to do this. Like, it's just so much fun across the board for this episode. Really, really fun and fantastic. All right. You have minimal complaints about this episode. I have complaints about this episode. Number 1. His friends are right there when he sees a little girl floating away. He could shout, "Hey, little girl's floating away," and everyone would have heard him. At least, if you're making a scene like this, give it to us where he goes, "Hey, she's in danger," and then no one hears him, and he has that, like, I've got to do something, and goes to do something. Number 2, little girl starts floating down the river, is going to be screaming for mama, not mama. Like, I don't know if anyone's been around children in the past year. They're not quiet. They're not quiet ever. When it is quiet is when you're like, there's something wrong. Something's going on. Kids are doing something. They're up to something. Yeah. Okay, so twisting the ankle thing was realistic even without bad luck. It was. So why did it happen? We have seen Earth itself rend asunder this man to try and kill him. And what happens is a twisted ankle. He doesn't have bad luck this episode. He does not have bad luck this episode. He's a great cook. How? Hold on, let me find a stat. Location of most injuries in the home. Number 1, the bathroom. Apparently. Because you slip and fall in the shower, I guess. Yeah, that makes sense. Number 2, the kitchen. Because you cut yourself, you burn yourself, you any number of hot or sharp things are happening in the kitchen. And you're telling me guy whose sign falls off building and tries to kill is a great cook? How? When? cooking turns off the bad luck, but his mom is bad cook. Is that what it is? Everyone in his family is like, they each have a bad luck somewhere, and so like mom's bad luck is when cooking, and his bad luck is when outside? Like, is that the... Again, if it's a curse, if it's like a specific, crazy, explainable thing in universe, give it to me. Tell me he has bad luck when outside. The power of the sun. He's like a reverse Superman. He just gets really bad luck every time he's in the sun, like Goku, but backwards. Like, give us that. Don't just be like, oh yeah, this guy who literally could die at any moment from buildings falling apart and things flying at him is great with knives in the kitchen. Oh. But remember what I said. Remember what I said. Hold on, let me pull up what I said. Let me pull up on these fools with what I said. You remember what I said, and that's okay. I tweeted that way back. Okay, here we go.
About how the Friends are really interesting, and we want to know more about the Friends.
We've seen Friends are really interesting articles
after episode 4. And then in one of these episodes, what was it you said? That there's going to be an episode where he protects her.
Yeah, it'll just be a one-off.
That's going to happen, and he's going to write the comeback story of the century where he's like, Shikimori's got a problem, and he's going to...
So I was wrong about Shikimori's problem. I thought it would be that she has to get protected from something, but instead, she's a bad cook. Get ready for Louis Kemner's Shikimori can't cook, and that's what makes her interesting article. Shikimori finally has a downfall, just like Comey and Marin. They write themselves. Oh my goodness. Also, I thought she was cute and cool. Isn't it cute and cool to cook? How are you bad cooking? I still don't, like, bad at cooking is a weird thing to me. Not able to tell when something is done, that I can get. So like burning food. But like, I don't know, it's just recipes. Just follow the recipes. Do what it says on the paper. And if you don't have a recipe, Google it. They have the internet. We've seen the internet in this show. Oh my goodness. We did get more confirmation about Hachimitsu being hilarious and adorable and great. Falling asleep at the end. But yeah, overall, this episode just left me with more questions. More questions. Why? Why is he so good at this? It involves dangerous objects and heat. How did this episode occur? Is his bad luck fading? Twisting your ankle and rolling downstream? Not really the worst thing ever. As far as like the world is trying to kill you, that's a pretty normal, real thing. We had that talk all the time going to the lake to swim. Like, oh, be careful of spasms, or you might have a cramp and you'll die, and you know. Always, all kinds of... My mother let me do a lot of stuff. She let me grow up. She let me enjoy things. However, she always had a story about some friend that died doing something that we were about to do. Like, oh, don't... You gotta tell me if you're going down to... Gonna cross that bridge. I had a friend die on that bridge. It's like, Mom, you've lived here your whole life. Somebody's died everywhere at this point. Like, leave me alone. If it was like this episode outside of the context of Shikimori is fine. I agree with you. It's only when we bring into account the idea that signage fell off a building and tried to kill this guy, and a truck tried to run him off the road. Here's what we need. We need a spin-off sequel series in which there is a fantasy world that is in dire straits and they require a hero. And so they are performing the summoning ritual to bring forth the hero. But the hero continues to not come forth. The ritual succeeds, the light emanates, but they cannot get a hero to step forth and save them. And so they send forth their greatest and wisest priestess, Hachimitsu, into the light at the time they are performing the latest of the rituals. And she finds herself in Tokyo, only to find that the ritual causes the death of the hero in this world, bringing them into her world. And now she must locate and assist the death of that hero in order to ensure that her people can be saved from the great evil that is the Demon King reborn from another world incarnated. And that's what we need. We need to know that Hachimitsu's from another world, and there are other forces at play that are trying to isekai Izumi. And that would make it great. And then we could have the spin-off series where the whole squad gets sucked over in a tragic boating accident because they all decided to, or a plane. They all get on a plane with Izumi, and then the engine just falls off. And they're like, "Oh God, no!" And then they crash, and then they get isekai'd along with Izumi because they have such a tight bond as friends. Because Hachimitsu has built that friend circle so that they can have enough troops to rally around the rally the power to defeat the demon lord who is incarnated, reborn forever. Shikimori's character flaw is her lust. I got pretty good odds of being right. I'd qualify it as jealousy. I think that's the weird part. It's like I get the feeling that she would be jealous of his mom putting on his coat. And that goes to my thoughts on this being an unhealthy relationship, like that level of jealousy. When a little girl that this guy basically just saved, like there are rivers that go to lakes that maybe she could have been found, but how long is a little girl going to be in her inner tube? That inner tube going to stay afloat? What if it goes to, like, there's a bunch of what ifs. We can say he saved that little girl's life. And for a little girl who's grown up with her mom and dad to just think, oh, kissing is love, and then give him a little peck, and it's just this sweet little thing from a little girl, and then to see Shikimori get jealous of that is pretty telling as to her demeanor and her rationality there. Licking fingers with eyes locked with Izumi. Oh yeah, I'm teasing, but I'm not teasing. But you see, the lust won't be a problem to anyone writing an article about this. The lust will be part of her power dynamic in the situation. It won't be seen as the problem. Because we've seen her be jealous of best friend, and we've seen her be jealous of little girl. And it's just a matter of time before she's jealous of everything that sees Izumi. And that's an unhealthy way to live. Unhealthy. Oh, man. Tired. I'm tired, but not because I need sleep. Uh-oh. Even my cat is sneezing. Maybe it is just allergies. Me and my cat have allergies together now. How sad is that? My poor little my poor little what the hell's my cat? Siamese. Oh man, it feels like my brain is being choked out by just pressure. Like that's kind of how I am right now. Oh, but I cannot be stopped. Need an article comparing Shikimori to Engage to the Unidentified. You think? I liked that show. It was interesting, but I think it's only interesting because the reason I went into it was just from the meme. With the sister like dancing in front of the TV because their show's on or whatever. Anyway, so I said the next Louis Kemner arc that's coming is gonna be the Friends Are Great, which we've started, followed by She's Got a Flaw. A little too early to have an article out by now for The Flaw. However, we have Friends Are the Best Part of the Show. Part 2, how a character from this show shows what MHA's Bakugo Katsuki could have been. Inuzuka from Shikimori is not just a cutie, is more than a Bakugo Katsuki lookalike. He's a peek at preliminary MHA character designs. So interesting idea, interesting article here. I feel like Bakugo is a great modern representation of the Vegeta character, where you have two people working towards similar ends, but they are antagonistic to each other. Romance Dawn arc in full swing. Shikimori is not just a cutie, is a fun new rom-com anime series of spring 2022. Okay. Stars the clumsy but kind male lead Izumi Yu and his ultra-popular girlfriend Shikimori. It's a fairly conventional high school rom-com for the most part. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I know you're listening. Thank you. But certain elements of it should remain fans of other popular anime as well. Oh man, anime inspires anime. Somebody tell the light novel writers. The main characters of Shikimori is not just a cutie. May call to mind Komi can't communicate, but the side character Inuzuka is surprisingly reminiscent of Bakugo Katsuki from My Hero Academia. These two boys have a remarkably similar hairstyle, but their shared qualities run a bit deeper. Inuzuka is what Bakugo was once intended to be. Hold on, I gotta remember, is Inuzuka's voice actor the same as Inosuke? Because when I first heard him, that's what I thought. But now I'm questioning myself. Voice actor. Kawaii dake janai. No, that's English dub. I want this. Okamoto Nobuhiko. And Kimetsu no Yaiba. You are not. You are not. You are Genya. Hold on. But you are Bakugo. Interesting. So the voice actor is the same for Bakugo in the Japanese. That's interesting. Call to mind this show. Compare this character to the other popular character. Remember this show? We all like this show. This show is similar to it. This character is similar to it. I like this character, and you like this character. It's the way to get the clicks, man. You gotta write the things so that you get there ain't no. Well, I guess maybe FMA Brotherhood fans who want to keep it number one on my anime list, but other than that, My Hero Academia is a ravenous fan base. So if you can compare a character to one of their boys, whoo, get ready. You're going to get them clicks. Inuzuka is what Bakugo was once intended to be. Is he? Originally, while still a natural-born genius, he was also airheaded enough to inadvertently be hurting others without any malicious intent. Then I realized that was lame, so I just went full bore and made him explosively rotten and detestable. I'm glad I did. His face was already built for that kind of character. I'll handle his character with care. Interesting, actually. A variety of characters in Kohei Horikoshi's My Hero Academia were significantly different in the early design stage, such as Uraraka Ochako having the costume and quirk of Mount Lady. She used to be the Mount Lady? That's funny. I actually didn't know that. That would be a hilarious difference. And Kaminari Denki looking like a villain. Meanwhile, Midoriya Izuku's childhood friend Bakugo was originally designed as friendly and gentle boy, almost like a next-door neighbor. An early concept sketch even shows the cheerful Bakugo saying, "Anyone can do it if they try." To make this character more exciting, Horikoshi named him to his one more intense and hot-headed current state. But perhaps Proto-Bakugo lives on after all. Maybe we could like characters together. Louis Kemner's King! This sort of goes to my original thoughts on Kemner's writing, where, oh my goodness, I'm analyzing him like he's a freaking English novelist. I feel that most of his understanding of the anime field is coming from the modern era in the last 10 years or so, because if you go back a little bit longer, I think you could find plenty of the hot-headed and blah blah blah, and they make things difficult, but also are always there to keep things moving. Back in Hunter x Hunter, back in even Initial D, back, plenty of shows have this character, and has been a model for years. So the idea of tying him into Bakugo, if you know those other characters, is just for the clicks. However, I contend that Kemner's understanding does not go past 2006. He has a brief blinking in the early years. The Grapes of Wrath. Yes. Oh, quite tried. In Shikimori is not just a cutie, Izumi's friend Inuzuka. Imagine, if you will, a world in which I can actually have a conversation with him. Just talk to him for like an hour. And my first question is just, why? You get paid per article because you write a lot of articles. And then we can get into his taste on Shikimori, his history with anime and everything else. But he writes so many articles, it blows my mind. He really is if he put his mind to it, he could throw down a light novel. With how many articles he's put out, he could have like 4 or 5 light novels done already. And I feel like I'd like to see that. I'd like to see that instead, almost. Oh, imagine knowing the friend's name off the top of your head. Top of my head. Top of your head. Get out of here. So Izumi's friend Inuzuka has the same hairstyle and a similar color as Bakugo's own hair and eyes, which fans were quick to notice. This is likely a coincidence rather than a reference to MHA, but all the same, it's intriguing how Inuzuka's appearance and personality make him similar to the prototype Bakugo. No doubt the equally friendly Midoriya would prefer the Inuzuka-style Bakugo, but alas, there are good reasons why the MHA character was rewritten as a hothead, and Inuzuka is a nice guy. It suits the need for their respective anime series. So here, let's get into Japanese typing a little bit. We've got little Tooth. We have a guy who's kind of focused on his own thing. He's sort of chaotic and with like the ice cream and all of that. This goes into shape-shifting Kitsune. So Kitsune are Japanese fox yokai. that will transform into human form in order to trick people or kind of get their own thing going. And his look is actually why I originally had that thought of what if it's a 1,000-year Tanuki curse, because Kitsune and Tanuki both can transform into humans, and both will fight in a lot of Japanese folklore. And typically when a fox, if they transform into a human, they'll maintain the color of their fox hair. So they'll have that light orange hair, as well as having that snaggletooth, will be indicative a lot of times of a transformed fox in media. And it was sort of a thought I had. But what you get sort of into storytelling is originally the Kitsune transformations were trying to take over villages or trick humans or do all this stuff. So you have this trickster type with the Kitsune. And as that has evolved, that trickster has become sort of what we see in Inazuka, where he's not necessarily trying to be, malicious, but the things he do causes strife for other people. And so that was my kind of initial thought with him. So this typing is a fairly traditional Japanese typing overall. History lesson over for now. Inazuka and Bakugo have the same preliminary design, hairstyle, and even the same role as the main character's friend. Tell that to Bakugo. But there are reasons why the two boys diverged at some point. While it'd be heartwarming to see Midoriya getting along with Inazuka-style Bakugo, that paradigm would actually hamper the former character's arc. Exactly, fighting... Oh, you forgot about the ice cream scene? Yeah. He's a chaotic force, a chaotic entity, even though he is trying to we've got to study and stuff in some of the other scenes. Him and the sporty friend having that rivalry, it creates a lot of chaos in the show as well. My Hero Academia would be less thrilling, as Horikoshi once feared. Characters designed for shonen action and those designed for feel-good slice-of-life anime are simply built differently. Sometimes they're built the same, and we love those shows. Even if Bakugo and Inazuka look the same, they must not act or think the same. Bakugo's fierce attitude and explosive quirk made him the ideal foil, rival, and counterpart for Midoriya. Meanwhile, Inazuka was placed into a gentle slice-of-life story where everyone gets along just fine, and there's no fighting at all. This calls for an equally sweet and charismatic character to blend in with the likes of Shikimori and Izumi. Though Inazuka does have a slightly sharper tongue and shorter temper, he only has slight traces of Bakugo's hot temper in him, making him ideal for Shikimori's not just a cutie. Right. Because two people that were drawn similarly must be similar in some way, or at least talked about how they're similar but different. The events can be chaotic on paper, but if you don't feel the chaos, then the show fails. Exactly. Well, and with Kaku's and the chaos there is it's chaos where you're like, dude, if you just chill, we wouldn't have to have chaos right now. And so you get to have that. It's like a manufactured chaos. So when you're watching the show, you're there just don't do this or do that or do something different or try this, but then they actually figure it out and they come to something outside of the chaos, like with the photo in the latest scene where he splashes her and you're like, oh, hey, something good came from the chaos, or that worked out. Or her saying hey, I'm actually kind of impressed that you study as hard as you do, when she's trying to help him with the sleep. There's good things that come from the chaos. So I think if you have chaos, you have to have some sort of quality foundation coming out of it as well. But you still feel the chaos, unlike Shikimori. Exactly. In Shikimori, we're just waiting to see how Shikimori's going to fix it. And it gets very boring overall. It doesn't excite. It doesn't enhance. It's nothing super exciting. Not like the Attack on Titan Hanafuda cards. Woo! Aren't those cool? Look at all those. You could buy Hanafuda cards from Care Additional or Chair Additional. I'm guessing it's Character and Traditional. I like Hanafuda. It's kind of a fun game. And it's what Nintendo made back in the day that kept them afloat when the Yakuza, they needed a brand new deck of cards every single time. And it's got a keepsake for 138, or you can just buy it for $30. That's a pretty normal price, actually. It's unbreaded. It's true. Shikimori is the most unbreaded show we have this season. It is it is a story of the lesser man. Oh my goodness. There's the real. You want a real article? Have someone go through the manifesto and then compare Izumi to the lesser man according to Matt Harris. That would be that would be the review that the world needs. But no one has the time to write, or melanin to write. Okay. I have seen more people. Oh my goodness. I still can't. Gotta get it up to 0. There we go. I've seen more people talking about Birdie Wing, and that makes me happy because, as you all know, I love our underground golf gambling anime, and everybody needs to see it and be a part of it and enjoy it, because it's got strong-willed characters who are making changes to the world they know and taking control of what they need to take control of, and it's fantastic. So this is the first not episode review that I've seen of it. So Gregory Segal, let's see what you got. CBR Anime Features writer Gregory Segal has been writing professionally for the last 3 years. In 2020, he would start his own platform, Mouthing Off Magazine, for aspiring young to gain experience within the world of journalism and have their works published. Today, Gregory works as a freelance writer whose favorite pastime is to read, research, and write about a variety of anime/manga and the themes they convey. You can follow him on LinkedIn or feel free to email him at 50 articles published. Dude, you have written 1% of what Louis Kemner has written. Get on that level. So I'm curious. I'm curious what the thoughts are here. In Birdie Wing, Golf Girl Story, Episode 5, VR. Eve is completely demotivated after missing her match with Aoi. Unable to practice and playing poorly against her regular betting partner Kevin, who just keeps giving her money because he likes to hang out with her. Let's be fair. Sega L, sure, nice fake name, Gregory. Oh, Sega taking the L once again. Rose decides that it's time to step in and give her a helping hand. Since she can't get Eve on a flight to Japan without causing suspicion, Rose decides to pay Klein Kara to influence Eve to get her to play golf at a VR center. Rose subsequently sends a message to Aoi, which she believes has been sent by Eve to create a virtual meeting. Yeah, we've got a lot of under the table dealings, and I love it. I can't wait for RPG episode tomorrow night. I am so excited to watch Birdie Wing, the RPG episode, because then I can get the actual scene and know what's going on. I'm just stoked for it. Birdie Wing takes an unexpected dive into the virtual world where Eve and Aoi are finally able to have their match. Whether this is just a one-off occurrence or a regular feature of the series remains to be seen. However, it introduces a range of exciting possibilities for the show and continues to expand upon its tendency to deviate from what might be traditionally expected of a sports show. We already saw a magic technological facility underground completely reshape itself and create holograms in order to make a new course every time for them. I think a little VR is well within this world's abilities. But we're not watching it for that. Upon entering the virtual reality facility, Eve is given a headset, which I hope they wiped down for COVID, and hooked up to several futuristic tracking sensors, just like a weird... The room's host then proceeds to assemble a 3D scan of Eve's body to create her in-game avatar. Being the easily irritable character that she is, Eve hurries the employee and commands that she should just let her play the game rather than spending any more time selecting a costume. But it's still just golf is what he's trying to say. I love golf though. It's so relaxing. I wish I had like 9 hours just to devote to a game of golf at some point. I miss those days. Big old tournaments and stuff. Eve is quickly transported to a she would throw up too when they were showing the VR, how it was like flying into the clubhouse, then flying to the ball, and then flying to where she hit it. Like that's what gives people their VR legs, and that'll knock someone on their ass. Eve is quickly transported to a virtual golfing world, which is full of lush greenery, blue skies, and quaint buildings. Fans are treated to several comedic moments after Eve discovers that her costume resembles a cat. How is this the link? Also, how did I miss this one? She and her cat, the biggest tearjerker anime in 5 minutes? What? Oh, she's dressed up like a cat. Let's link into the article about she and her cat, and not about an article for Cat Planet Cuties. Which her outfit actually... Oh, you don't have an article on Cat Planet Cuties. Somebody write an article about Cat Planet Cuties, because that's more of what her outfit looked like. Also, woefully unappreciated series may be the best anime about androids. Human and androids. What is this? Plastic Memories? Time of Eve. Ooh, I actually don't know this one. Interesting. I'll have to check that out. And by I have to check that out, I mean I'm gonna go look up a synopsis and never watch it, because that's how anime works nowadays. You're like, oh, I'll check that one out, and you just never check it out because there's always new anime to watch and enjoy or make fun of, whatever it may be. Oh, while she is informed that this is the most popular choice among customers, she is not impressed by her cute cat ear headband or tail. She raves and rambles in a fit of anger, screaming, "Your country is weird!" And for the host to just let her play the game despite being given the opportunity to change her outfit. Why would she say your country is weird? That doesn't make much sense. Because she's in VR in her country. So she'd be playing it in her country. The benefits of VR golf are made abundantly clear to Eve as soon as she begins to play, from being able to select a wide range of clubs at the flick of her fingertips to the ability to fast-track her way around the course. Eve is highly impressed by the game's technical feats. At one stage, Eve remarks that she could go through a whole course in less than an hour, a comment that may highlight the future direction of the series. It's possible that Eve and other characters will use virtual reality centers to accelerate their training in preparation for the series' inevitable climax, where she finally gets to face off against Aoi in a regulated golf competition. Hyperbolic time chamber training! But it's VR. I've practiced 1,000 years of golf in one day. What if you put a hyperbolic time chamber into a hyperbolic time chamber? Maybe a translation thing, could be, because Japanese is very common to just not say the subject. So she could have literally just said like hendane or something like that, like you guys are weird or perverted or something like that, or just literally means like perverted, and it applies it to something, but you don't see what the something is that it's to. But they're supposed to, like when you buy and sell anime, right? It's supposed to come with a pretty heavy translator notes on a lot of that nowadays, as far as like clarifying what they're talking about. But this could have been one of the shows that just came along with. I mean, this is Sunrise, right? This is the studio that makes Gundam. This is the studio that is the Gundam commercial studio that is making a golf anime. And all I need to know because they've got some gunplay in the show, and it's like, oh, haha, that's how they got the gunplay in there, is because Sunrise is making it. Sunrise is the Gundam show, the Bandai show. What is Bandai Namco making that's golf related? And that's a real question, because when I search for Bandai Golf, the only thing that comes up is the NES Bandai Golf Challenge at Pebble Beach. That's the only one that comes up. But, you know, maybe that is it. Maybe they're gonna make a new Bandai Golf game for Nintendo. Maybe that's the secret. After being unable to beat the game's top scorer, Eve decides that she'll investigate who they are and is shocked to discover it's Aoi. The pair chat about recent events and have a friendly competition. However, Eve is pulled out of the virtual experience by Lily, who informs her that their house is going away. Her 3 iconic golf clubs, yeah. Just a driver, a 7, and a putter. She uses the Scottie Pippen putter. Pippen. No, Scotty Cameron. Scotty Cameron putter. Scotty Cameron is the golf guy. Scotty Pippen is the basketball guy, right? I know my sport ball. Golf balls with the character's face on it. You know, she pretty intricately draws the wing on the side of the golf ball while there's a Gundam in frame. And my thought was, when I searched for a Gundam golf, was that I would get, or Bandai golf, that I would get, oh God, I can't even write straight, golf balls that were painted like that, but that I did not get golf balls that were painted like that. But I thought I would, because that would be, Pac-Man on one and a rainbow wing on the other. That would make sense to me. But it's not what I see. It's not what I found. But I'm waiting. I know it's coming. I know it's coming. While this episode was far less eventful than the previous installment, it certainly added an element that many would have likely not expected from this show. Birdie Wing's effort to continually surprise its audience and incorporate a diverse range of themes from mafia groups to futuristic tech is a welcome change for sports anime, and things are taken a little less seriously here than usual. Hopefully, the series will build on this component and give viewers more opportunities to see Eve explore the virtual world. However, it seems as though the next episode will require her to deal with more real-world problems as she attempts to hold on to her home. Oh, golfing gunpla. There you go. That's the real sick. The real secret. Birdie Wing golf. Oh, of course. Maybe the most bizarre one yet. Interesting choice. I feel like this episode was sort of like a fun character builder, and then everybody just got really excited by the ending scrawl that occurred. That was sort of the hype and excitement overall for that. Top 20. I hate top 20 lists sometimes. All right. Last thing I want to talk about, localization, because the only reason that we can enjoy shows is because we can understand them, and sometimes understanding is more than just translation. Or is it? Otome game? Oh, there you go. I would be cool to play a golf game where it is just a golf game, but there's also this underlying component of gambling and betting on your matches so that you can have enough money to keep your home. That would be great. When I was first watching anime was coming across on VHSs, and it was getting dubbed, it was getting subbed, it was getting typically dubbed, and you were getting these shows that were being bought, licensed, and spread around. The show Trapped in an Otome Game. Oh, I didn't watch that yesterday, unfortunately. Also, I'm 2 behind because I'm watching it dubbed. So I I am excited because the last episode I saw was the one where they start the they like all get in the arena. So the next episode I watched should be those mechs fighting, and those mechs looked really fun. So I'm excited to see mech warfare in Trapped in an Otome game. So very, very excited to watch that. I might watch that tonight, but I also may just go pass out in bed because I feel like garbage right now. But we'll get there. We'll get there. We'll make it. We'll find a way. We will survive somehow. Hell was I talking about? Localizing shows. So, well, a lot of shows, too, when I was a kid and it started getting on TV, and there were, people, nowadays they make fun of the 4Kids dub, where you have heavy local censorship to change things. The jelly-filled donuts meme, the guns that get turned into fingers in Yu-Gi-Oh! All kinds of interesting stuff happens depending on the level of control that the studio has over the translation. And I'm probably going to use translation and localization interchangeably as we talk about this, just because it's something that kind of interests me. The spark here was an article about why it's so important, especially in these comedy anime. And I actually just watched the first episode of Ghost Stories again recently, because it's such a funny show in the dub, and it's only that way because it wasn't any good in Japan, and they said do whatever you want when it came over here. And so we got the ability to have just a bunch of voice actors kind of understand where the script is supposed to go, and also just have fun with lip flaps. And so at what level do you translate so that it matches the lip flaps, and at what level do you change it so that it says modern stuff, like the Luqua. Actually, I think I've only listened to the sub in that, but she has in Dragon Maid the comment about gamer gators looking at her chi-chis, and everybody's like, oh my gosh, really? And stuff like that we roll our eyes at. And then stuff like jelly-filled donuts and Ghost Stories become a meme that everybody thinks is hilarious for all eternity, basically. So there's sort of a balancing act that needs to be played when you're trying to translate something. And back in the day, that was fan subs, and then like this fan subber will be exactly what is being said, and you'd get like the fan sub, and then like there'd be a word in Japanese, and there'd be like a note from the subber that says like why that word is still Japanese and what it means and all this kind of stuff. And so you would learn a lot about the Japanese language that way, and it was fascinating and very interesting. And I think that applies today as well. Like I want more Japanese in the show, like Daemon this season. Daemon is a show about wagashi, which is Japanese sweets, which should be called wagashi and should be translated as wagashi. They should not be translated as Japanese sweets, because if you say Japanese sweets, then it's like, what do you mean? They make all kind of candy over there. But wagashi is a very specific type of treat. And there was a specific line that popped out to me as well, because in this show, they're in Kyoto, and Kyoto is famous for having a lot of shrines and temples in Japan. And in Japan, your temples, your Buddhist temples, the word will end in dera. Kizumiya Dera is a very famous temple in Kyoto. And a shrine or a Shinto location, so you got Buddhist temples and Shinto shrines, will end in jinja. And one of the characters said, oh, look, there's a shrine, there's a jinja. And instead of saying there's a shrine, it actually said there's a jinja, which was actually really cool, because it's like, oh, I can see where they're going to. I know what they're heading towards. And when I read the word Jinja, obviously I know the translation, but I feel like you can connect the word that you're reading there to what they're doing. And it really shows you that like not everything needs to be localized specifically when you're trying to like communicate with somebody. You can let the word be the word. And on the other side of this, I was actually kind of upset with Love After World Domination when they were feeding each other and she says, ah, and the subtitle translation says open wide. That's not what she's saying. She's saying, ah, and when he says, ah, to be fed, he says like, I'm eating it, or I don't remember. It just annoyed me that they put words for the translation that didn't even need to be written. Like they don't translate screams most of the time unless they're screaming words. They don't like onomatopoeia doesn't need to be translated. And when someone goes ah with like a fork with food on it coming at you like ah, and somebody else opens their mouth and goes ah and receives that food, we all know how the baby eats the airplane. Like that's not a thing that we need translated. So sometimes it's best to just not localize, not translate. Don't put anything down. We don't need text on the screen in this fun scene where one person is just going, ah, and it's very sweet and it's touching, and then it's interrupted, of course, because it's anime. So on some levels, it's like, yes, some localization is important so that we can kind of keep up. But on the other level, like we're a very global world now. Like we know a lot about the where anime comes from and how it comes to us, and anime is so much more Japanese now. Obviously, we had shows like Ninja Scroll and my brain is spacing on me now, but we had shows that were set in Japan back in the past, but now but we also had shows that were in like Neo Tokyo and fake Tokyo, and this isn't Japan, but we're basically in the same place. And so you had places that arguably weren't Japan, or they were in space, or they were in this fantasy world. And in those, maybe you need to get a little more specific with things as far as like translating goes and localizing it, because it may not be as easy to pick up. But I feel like a lot of this stuff could remain Japanese. Now, humor. All that being said, everything I just said, comedy is very different. Looking for what is the movie? Looking for laughs in the Muslim world. I want to say it was. Let me look, see what this show is called again. Looking for comedy in the Muslim world. It was a movie, came out in 2005, starring Al Brooks. And Al Brooks is a very sarcastic comedian, but when he was in all of these other countries, they didn't have sarcasm in the same way that we have sarcasm. And so he would say a joke that would be very sarcastic, but he's saying just sentences that are just flat, like, oh, there's a sheep, there it goes, blah, blah, blah. And no one would laugh because they don't understand or comprehend sarcasm. So comedy is the area that I think needs to be very, very carefully localized in order to make it across. Because comedy is hard. It's hard to be funny. And it's hard to be funny on purpose. You know, we've all been with friends and we've been laughing at something, or we've really enjoyed something and someone said something and everybody laughed. The other day, I was at a birthday party, and a friend of my cousins was there, and he was talking. He's like, my we were talking about dating relationships and stuff, and he was like, yeah, I've got kind of a bad history with that. I kind of blame my dad. He wasn't really a good example of that. And I was like, oh, to tell, and he's like, oh, well, like the longest relationship my dad ever had was with my mom. And I looked at him and I said, oh, so 9 months. And everybody died laughing. And it was hilarious because the crowd we were at a birthday party, so everybody's already kind of happy. We're drinking a little bit, and we're just laughing because it was a funny joke. It went really well. However, that same line could be very much not a joke to somebody else, and that other person needs to just walk away and be like, oh, it's not for me, I guess. But at the same time, they're not going to laugh. And so not everybody's going to laugh at a joke, and it's going to be really specific on the context of the joke. And I think localization can help build context to jokes. So I think that this is something that's really important and is sometimes lost on people that want to do translations exact and all that. So let's see about Cran Shin Chan. See if it's funny. See if I laugh at an article about localization. That's the real ticket. That's the real comedy right there. That's the yucks we're looking for. Man with cold laughs at Cran Shin Chan article. Oh no, my sake is cold. That's not good. What's the voice for this one? Who are we listening to? Emmett Byrne. Emmett Byrne, you've got 5 articles and not a picture. Moy Bluff, great, Binus. All right, I can't even get a sense for who you are, Emmett. All right. Localization is the process of tailoring a show to a new audience, which is very useful in a medium such as anime, where the culture that created the show and the ones, that are viewing it can be vastly different. Localization can also be very important to specific genres, comedy anime most of all. Hey look, we agree, as it brings more relatable jokes and a different perspective to the show. There are some extreme examples of comedy localization that showcase how localization can change and cater to a show to a new audience. And such examples include the likes of Shin-Chan, Samurai Pizza Cats, and Ghost Stories. The first example of a more extreme case of localization is the series Shin-Chan, which is the Western version of the anime Cran Shin-Chan, because America doesn't have crayons. The show centers around the kindergarten-age Shin Nohara and his family and friends. While the original Japanese version is no stranger to dirty jokes, the English localization team takes it to a whole other level. Since the original version of the show is insanely long with a current whopping 1,122 episodes, jeez. The English team in charge of Shin-Chan had a unique opportunity to pick and choose what episodes they wanted to use in whatever order they desired. This meant they could basically create their own unique narrative, basing it on the main story beats of the real show. With this, they aged up the target audience from young children to PG-13, including a lot more racy jokes and mature themes covering topics such as homosexuality, politics, and physical and domestic abuse, among others. This is what's known as a gag dub, and because of the themes and dark humor, it was originally released on Adult Swim before it came to DVD. While the show can be enjoyed in its raunchy English form, some fans may still be upset at such extensive changes to the source material. This sentiment is a valid one, but localization happens for a reason. Someone was lazy and didn't want to do the Japanese, as it makes the source material more digestible for overseas audiences. Someone thought they could work too hard and wanted to make their own thing, but all they had to do was translate something else. They're like, I'm going to make this mine. This will be my show. But usually localization takes out obscure references to Japanese culture or food that most non-Japanese people would not expect to understand, changing these similar references that still fit with the scene. This helps the anime flow better in English, where the jokes may fall flat to most people if using the original translation. English dub of Pop Ting Epic. Director's Galandino. Huh. An even older example of extreme localization is Samurai Pizza Cats. This show is based on the anime Kyato Nindante Andi. What? That's not Japanese doesn't do double E's. Cat Ninja Legend Teion D, which came out in 1990 in Japan and 91 in America. Localizations are super annoying. Get them out of here. Wait, Never JoJo has funny locals. But I feel like with JoJo, one of the differences is that it can be funny localizations because the show was so worldwide originally, and like they were in England for that first bit, and then they're going all over the globe, so like they can do regional things very well. I think localizing some of the newer stuff when they're in or I guess not the newer stuff, because we've done Italy and now we're back to America. So like the Morio localization was kind of weird, but like localizing things to the regions they're in, I think is a really fun thing to do. But it's kind of already built into the anime, I'd say, in the manga. Saban Entertainment picked it up in English, releasing 52 of the original 54 episodes, and we all know how good Saban is at localizing. Power Rangers wouldn't exist without that. For whatever reason, there was never any proper information or even a good translation of the original Japanese source material, so the American team was essentially able to build the show back up on their own with completely original English dialogue. This meant the show took on a far wackier feel, taking inspiration from the American classic Animaniacs. The American team got to load up the show with topical, at the time, pop culture references, as well as making it a lot more satirical and fourth wall breaking than the original. The show itself is about the main heroes, the Samurai Pizza Cats, who are a pizza delivery service moonlighting as crime-fighting samurai to defeat the main villain, the Big Cheese. I loved that show. So good. Probably the most well-known gag dub ever released in English is Ghost Stories, also known as Gaku no Kaidan. In Japanese, literally School Ghost Stories. This is a 20-episode show from 2000 about school ghosts that the main characters run into and must defeat. The original Japanese language version of the anime did not do well in Japan, so when ADV took it over in America, according to one main voice actor for the series, they were told to do whatever to sell the show, and whatever they did. This meant that the English crew had free reign to do what they wanted with the show, so long as they kept the main story as well as the names of the characters and ghosts intact. While the original show was for kids, the English dub went the same way as Shin-Chan did. A little more so than Shin-Chan, I'd say. It made the English version much more mature with lots of dark humor. What is this one? Tomodachi game. Haha, dark secret. The show jokes about topics such as race, sexuality, religion, and pretty much anything else it can come up with, making the English version not only popular, but also infamous. That means it's infamous. Like, it's so famous, it's in the famousness. All the above shows are extreme examples of what localization can do and how it can change a series, in these cases for the better. If any of these three shows were brought to the West today and were more faithfully or literally translated, they very likely wouldn't have had the same popularity or cult-like status that they enjoy now. These shows may not have even been officially brought over to the West at all without such drastic changes, which would have been a shame. So while not everyone may like the changes to the shows, such extreme localization enabled them to travel across the ocean and be enjoyed by many more people for what they are now. Irreverent Como days. I do still miss the time of being able to learn more about the Japanese language. ProZD has like one of the funniest videos on it where he's like, fuck you, Sasuke, ore my nakama, and like it has like translator notes every time he says a Japanese word, and like every couple words are Japanese, and it's fun. I like learning about a different culture in that way. It sort of turned my enjoyment of anime into an enjoyment of Japanese culture, paired with my love of Japanese food. So thanks to being in the greater Seattle area, having the international district and really good Japanese food, both sushi, tempura, all that kind of stuff, really sort of brought about a really, really good love of Japan as a country, not just as a anime delivery device, anime and manga delivery device. So I get it. Localization is important if it's done right. But I really like when you just let something speak for itself. Let a jinja be a jinja, a dara be a dara, and let When someone says just let it be and don't say open wide. We all know what that means. We don't need a translator to tell us that. Ugh. Shikimori still sucks, and Kaku's is getting more and more interesting. And like I said, I hope it sticks around with my thoughts and not going into sort of a weird three-way harem competition. But we shall see. We shall see. Some anime to watch tonight. I will hopefully be back tomorrow with the full use of my faculties and able to speak outside of my deep, dark registry that is so deep and down there that I hope it's actually making it through your headphones. I'm just kidding. I'm not a sea dog or anything like that. You have a wonderful rest of your night. I'm going to get some rest and heat this up so that I can have some more hot sake from my wonderful Nerve cup, by the way. And you enjoy the rest of your night as well. And I will see you tomorrow, 7 o'clock. I will try to be here and not in love with Shikimori and Izumi. Have a wonderful night. Oh, yes. Good night. Kanpai.